Good evening. It is Friday, June 11th, 2021. The next hero of our faith listed in Hebrews 11 is Moses. There is no greater figure in the Old Testament. Moses truly lived a miraculous life, from rags to riches to rags again, to immense stature as the leader of the people of Israel. The most significant event in all of the Old Testament is referred to all the way through time until the exile as describing God as being the God who brought the people of Israel out of Egypt. And Moses was his leader while that happened. The author of Hebrews mentions several events in Moses' life. In Hebrews chapter 11, verses 23 to 29, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, we see it was by faith that Moses' parents hid him for 3 months when he was born. They saw that God had given them an unusual child, and they were not afraid to disobey the king's command. It was by faith that Moses, when he grew up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to share the oppression of God's people instead of enjoying the fleeting pleasures of sin. He thought it was better to suffer for the sake of Christ than to own the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking forward to his great reward. It was by faith that Moses left the land of Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He kept right on going because he kept his eyes on the one who is invisible. It was by faith that Moses commanded the people of Israel to keep the Passover and to sprinkle blood on the doorposts so that the angel of death would not kill their firstborn sons. It was by faith that the people of Israel went right through the Red Sea as though they were on dry ground, but when the Egyptians tried to follow, they were all drowned. Well, from birth, Moses was recognized as significant by his parents, and in an act of wonderful civil disobedience, they were assisted by God in miraculously protecting his infant life. How blessed are the parents that recognize and celebrate the significance of their beautiful children. Moses was rescued from the river, and he grew up in Pharaoh's household. When given an adult choice, he remembered the heritage of his godly parents and chose to be recognized with the Hebrews instead of the Egyptians. The author of Hebrews refers to this as to suffer for the sake of Christ, rather than to own the treasures of Egypt. It's because the optimistic faith of Moses looked forward to a better life with God than a life of palace temptations. Can we avoid temptation because of our faith for a better life in the midst of God's blessings? Or do we enjoy the momentary pleasure of temptation, risking that future blessing? It was by faith that Moses left Egypt, with no idea that the next 40 years would be on the backside of the mountain, with the best job he could find being a shepherd for his father-in-law. Then God spoke through the burning bush and gave Moses the instructions that would set the course for the rest of Israelite history. God told Moses to go back to Pharaoh and demand the release of the Israelite people. And if you read Moses' answer, it's essentially, "Here am I, send my brother Aaron." As God worked through him and Moses learned leadership and obedience, he came to the point that when by faith he gave instructions for the Passover to protect the people of Israel, they all listened, obeyed, and were protected. The change in character of Moses between the leaving of Egypt and the return were phenomenal. God moved mightily in his life, and he became a man of tremendous faith. The final incident mentioned in Hebrews 11 is the Red Sea. The sea was a very real barrier in front of them, with a very angry Egyptian army chasing them down in their chariots. And God tells Moses, place your staff in the water. The water miraculously divided. The Israelites walked through on dry ground, And you can read about it in Exodus 14, when God released the water in time to drown the Egyptian navy. Moses is truly a hero of faith, because we can read and watch as he grows from a hidden infant to a child of privilege, to an anonymous shepherd, to a reluctant follower, to the mighty man of God that met God on the mountain. We may never have any of those kind of experiences that Moses had, but we can have a similar faith in the same invisible, unchanging God. Where is your faith? What do you do with temptation? May you have an optimistic view of what God will bring you in the future. God bless you.